Now, we all know that in recent years, phone cameras have got so good that more and more people are solely using the phone for the camera, and we're using them for longer periods of time, filming and taking pictures and stuff. But we all do this, don't we? We all have our hand in this weird, awkward grip. For long periods of time, you kind of get cramp and it doesn't feel very comfortable. So have you ever wanted your phone to look and feel more like an actual camera? Well, this device here does exactly that. It's Magsafe, so it quickly and easily attaches to our phones with a nice solid connection. There's an ergonomic grip that our fingers can wrap around and is nice and comfortable for long periods of use. We can then spin the phone 90 degrees so we can actually go from landscape to portrait filming very quickly and easily. And then on top we have a few dedicated buttons to control the camera of our phone. We have a shutter button, a zoom and a few mode buttons. And this whole section here we can actually take off, and then this is a remote back to the phone to control the phone's camera with this remote. And then on the bottom there is also a tripod mount. And if that's not enough, it even comes with this extra magnetic selfie light. And being magnetic means that we can attach it straight to the back of the camera's grip. We can then press the button in the middle and it will cycle through the 3 different color temperatures of the light. On the bottom there is a wheel and that will change the brightness. There's a hinge on top so we can fold it up, and then we can use it in our selfie mode. Or if we want to use it in the landscape mode with the rear facing camera, we can then turn the light around. There is also a mirror on the back of this light so we can use it and frame up our shots with the rear facing cameras. And then if we want to use it in portrait mode, we can then extend this light up and spin it around, and that means that it works in the portrait mode. And likewise, if we're in landscape mode, we can decide to bring the light down and change it to any angle we actually want. And then on the side up here, as you can see, there is a USB-C charging port. Okay, so that is a lot of features jam-packed into a nifty little product, which only cost about £60. And I have to admit, I do really like it. But before you jump over to Amazon and buy one of these yourself, it's not perfect, and I'm going to explain why. Starting off with the grip. The main body is made of plastic, with the Magsafe section being aluminium and weighs only 109 grams. The white plastic does have an ever so slight texture to it, which helps with grip a little bit, but personally I would have liked to have had a slight rubberized grip. I've noticed the plastic does get a bit slippery with sweaty hands. On the back we have this grey section which is rubberized, so if that wrapped around the front, I think that would have really helped with our overall grip of this device. But ergonomically, I do find it fits our hands pretty well, and I do find that it's far more comfortable to use for long periods of time rather than just holding our phones as we normally would. And I would say it's just the right size to still be able to fit in and out of our pockets. I would have just liked to have had a slight bump or angled section on the top right for our thumbs to sit on, just like a normal camera or grip. I do find that our thumb seems to just float around a little bit randomly, not having a dedicated section to sit on. It also comes with a wrist strap, but there is no way of actually attaching this to the actual grip. So I assume that they think that we need to attach this to our phone cases, but if you're like me and you don't use a phone case, then this is just a little bit weird and pointless. And if you don't use an iPhone or have a thick case where Magsafe doesn't work, they also supply an extra magnetic sticker which we can put onto other phones or cases. And this grip connects to our phone via Bluetooth, so once it's connected via Bluetooth, we just need to make sure that all the buttons work properly. So we need to jump into Settings, Accessibility, Zoom, and make sure that this is enabled. If your screen zooms in, you just have to double tap 3 fingers to reset it. Now when you open your camera app, all the buttons will work. So the orange button on top, that is our main shutter, and it has 2 stages. A quick half press will focus the camera and a full long press will take a picture. Likewise, it does exactly the same in video mode. A quick half press will focus it and a full press will then start the video recording, and another full press will stop that video recording. We've then got a zoom dial on the front here. If we pull it one way, it will start to zoom in, and we can see that it actually jumps between the different cameras. It doesn't just zoom in on one camera, it actually jumps between the different camera modules on the back of the camera, which is really good. There is then 2 mode buttons on top. One of the mode buttons will take you through the different camera modes one way, and then the other mode button will then take you back through the camera modes the opposite way. And there should be an option to half press to focus and then use those mode dials to change the exposure, but every time I do that it doesn't seem to work and it just changes those camera modes. I managed to get it to work once, but I've not got it to work again. And also we can long press the mode button in the middle and that will launch the camera app. Likewise, if the camera app is already open, we can long press that mode button and it will shut the camera back down. And if you don't want to use the main camera on the phone and you want to use a different app, say the Blackmagic camera app, then the buttons work slightly differently. The shutter button, the quick press still does the autofocus, and a long press will start and stop the recording. But I've noticed that the zoom button or the zoom wheel doesn't actually do anything with the zoom, and the mode buttons, pressing these just gets rid of the description on and off of the screen, no matter which one we press. I don't think this is too much of a problem because the main one we're going to want to be using is that shutter button. And like I said at the beginning, the button section actually magnetically comes off of the grip, and then we can use this to remotely control the camera on our phone, which is good in theory, especially if we're using the front-facing camera. But for instance now, if I wanted to film myself with the camera, there is no indicator on here to let me know that it's going to be filming. For instance, when we press the shutter button, the LED would just blink once green. If it carried on blinking or if the light stayed on, we would have confidence that we're actually recording video, but it does exactly the same no matter if we've started or stopped the actual recording. Would have just made so much more sense if that LED on this little module stayed on whilst you were recording video and then turned off when you stopped recording. But that's not the only issue I've noticed with this little module. The other one is the underside. If we look closely, in here we can see that this little module takes a tiny little 3-volt battery, a CR1632 lithium cell battery. And personally I think that is just a really weird and strange design choice to have, to choose to put a lithium cell little watch battery in here, which is disposable, it's not rechargeable, and they're quite expensive to buy, just makes no sense, because this whole section here, this is just like hollow plastic. So you could easily have a little battery in here which is rechargeable, and then this could just magnetically attach and it charges itself there. To choose to supply the light, which is rechargeable and has a USB-C charger, but this is a lithium cell battery in here where the battery could be in here and it charges itself. Why is one rechargeable and the other isn't? It's just a strange design choice. But I do have to admit I like the fact that they decided to put a tripod mount in the bottom end of this grip to attach it to some tripods. Now you will notice that there is a slight issue if you want to go from landscape and back into portrait on a tripod, is your phone's not going to spin. We have to physically take the phone off and then reattach it. But if your tripod is slightly bigger and you have a bigger base plate, then you're not going to be able to go into the portrait mode on these bigger style tripods. And finally, I just wanted to say one more thing about the LED light, and that is the fact that it was far brighter than I thought it was going to be, and it has a nice bit of diffusion around it, so it does help to soften the light slightly, and having the ability to change the color temperature, again, just gives us a few different options. And at its brightest setting, like it is now, that will last you for about 45 minutes, and then at its dullest section, like it is here, that should last you for a few hours. But if you're thinking, I'm interested in this grip, but I really don't care about this light, then that's fine, because both of these are actually sold individually and as a combo. So if you just want this, you can buy this on its own. And if you just want this light, then you could just buy the light on its own. And yes, it's also Magsafe, so you don't need this to attach the light to our phones. And if you are interested, I will link both of these products in the description down below. And if you thought this video was interesting and informative, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below as well. I'd really love to hear your thoughts on what do you think of these two Telesin products. Thank you Telesin for sending me these, but obviously this wasn't a paid video, it wasn't an ad or sponsorship. This was my true and unbiased opinion of these two products. And I hope in the future Telesin are listening and decide to make this rechargeable and get rid of those weird CR lithium cell batteries. But anyway, that is enough from me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you here again soon.